to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light. Yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is Colin McGuigan for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to be joined back by Johnny Nelson. Johnny, we'll get straight to it. Can I get your immediate reaction to the postponement of this weekend's event?
Gutted, absolutely gutted. It was a fight that I was looking forward to. It was a fight that I looked at the build-up and how they did this job. Great build-up. A lot of people it was one of those fights where people were talking about it, and which is nice, no matter how you look at it. You just love that kind of situation. Absolutely gutted that it's cancelled for the right reasons, may I add. And both Connor and Chris are cool guys, they're decent guys, but this issue with Connor failing the drug test, it means there's an issue. It means that somebody this has somehow got in his system. Now, if it's not Connor, it's got there somehow. I'm not saying he took it. What I'm saying, there's something in his system that made him fail the drug test. And so therefore, that's what they need to investigate. The argument of, is it going to happen? It is going to happen. It isn't going to happen. Should never have been the case. The British Boxing Board made a decision. They were under pressure from various sources to try and change that decision. The Boxing Board, if they did change that decision, they were in fear of looking like the biggest joke circus going. They knew they didn't do that. We never thought about changing our decision. That's it. They've done the right decision. And remember, when I've been asked about this, I'll make it quite clear. You guys have asked me. I've not come chasing you saying, let me talk about this. Let me talk about it. So this isn't Sky running down the Matchroom or Sky running down the Zone. Johnny Nelson's talking as an ex-fighter, a guy that's talking about boxing. You're asking my opinion. My opinion is this. It's right that the fight has been cancelled or postponed. Get to the bottom of this issue. Find out how this substance has gone into Connor's system. Deal with it accordingly, and then start all over again. Worst case scenario, it's been said over and over again. If and I know Chris is thinking this would never happen. If Connor had got the top side of Chris and hurt Chris, then it's premeditated assault. If they let him box on with the knowing he failed the drug test, and not just Connor getting done for premeditated assault, the Boxing Board of Control, everybody around him, everybody that was involved, anybody that had any influence, they were all had a hand in this, and so they had no choice. Once they knew, they had no choice but to pull this. Now you're going to try and look at examples such as Dylan White. I'm quite sure of other fights that have come through in the past, but they found out just before the fight. If you're going to take a drug test, why have a drug test if you're going to say, I don't like what you've got to say? I'm going to ask this other guy. This is the whole point. So a drug test is supposed to be from independent sources that give you their findings. When they give you their findings, it's up to you what you want to do with the result. They don't benefit or not if you carry on with your sport or not. Their job is to give you the results. It's up to you what you do with the information. So to try and fuss and fight and get this still on and make this still happen, it was reckless, ludicrous, and it was irresponsible. I feel for the undercard. I feel for the fans. People have booked hotels. People had made a big week of it. People have prepped for this in all ways. Fighters have been ready for this, but unfortunately, it's fallen through. The show doesn't go on. Will it be postponed? Will it be completely cancelled? We don't know. But I think the issue is dealing with how this substance got into the system of Conor Benn. Now, I ain't judging this boy's character because he's one of my favourite fighters going out there. And I don't want it to sound like I'm throwing him under the bus and say, yo, you're by yourself. But what I'm saying is there's something that's been found in his system. It doesn't matter if anybody else said that we've got ours a negative. There's one positive. So either Vada need to be sued for defamation of character and saying this kid and saying what they said, so therefore it's tarnished Connor's career, or Connor's going to say, well, all right, wait. And they've got to trace it back to see how this got into his system. Now, I don't know how this is administrative, if it's illegal, if it's a drink, if it's something you can buy off the shelves, if it's a pill. I don't know how you take this. What I do know is this substance is what you use to mask. A man would use to mask anything you may have been taking, because there's no reason why a guy would take this. So again, this is something for Connor to actually go through. He has dietitians, he has people around him that are responsible to say, here you are, eat this. So now the book has to stop with somebody. Unfortunately, the front man is Connor. And so Connor, I get he's a guy of integrity, but you know what? This needs to be sorted out. Unfortunately, for Connor, he's now got that cloud over him and his career moving forward until this is dealt with and cleared up.
Eddie has came out and said that the UCAD test results were all fine. There was no negative test results or no adverse results as such. This was just a Vada testing. He has said that the British Boxing Board of Control do not look at the Vada testing. They just look at the UCAD test results. So Eddie has said that the legal action, I think, that Matchroom were saying they were going to take was going to be on the British Boxing Board of Control for having no reason to postpone this fight. And we've heard Callus Ireland saying that their team was also under the opinion. So my question to you is, why would you enlist yourself for Vada testing if there's no reason for that to be used?
First of all, I'm quite sure you've seen it before where a couple of years ago, Eddie was praising Vada, praising them. It came out of his mouth, praising this setup, and basically saying, don't quote me, words such as, if you fail, you fail. That's it. He's praising Vada as one of the best in the world. Now, because their findings don't suit him, there's an issue. If the British Boxing Board of Control have made a decision, which is the right decision, I would have been really disappointed if they U-turned. I would have been really disappointed if they dithered. We're going to have a meeting. I would have been really disappointed. Eddie's got to fight for his fight. And I love how he's defending his man. And I get that. He's got to do his job. And a good job at that he is. He's got to try and salvage something out of this. But what is Eddie saying in regards to potentially taking legal action with the British Boxing Board of Control, I don't think he has a leg to stand on. I think the British Boxing Board of Control can simply say he failed the drug test with a government agency. So therefore, as far as we're concerned, he's out. It doesn't matter if we're using them or not. You used them. Why did you enlist them if you were going to ignore their findings? That's it. It was a voluntary. Why were they enlisted if you're going to ignore what they say if you don't like what they're saying? So listen, you get promoters that have come and gone. I've seen many of them over the years. Before I boxed, when I boxed, now I've retired. And promoters have come and they've done their job, some good, some bad. The one thing that's been consistent is boxing. And so when Eddie's long gone, boxing will still be there. So yes, he can fuss, he can fight, he can threaten and everything with the British Boxing Board of Control. But when Eddie's gone and done his thing, remember, we're going to have to deal with a fallout. How would this have reflected on the rest of the world if all the worst case scenarios happened? And I'm not saying they would have done, but if they did, the only people that really suffer are the fighters, the guys on grassroots. Boxing has got itself to a place now where fighters are getting paid money. Boxing has got itself to a place now where we're on the front and the back page of the newspapers. Boxing has got itself to a respectable place. So if it's dragged down and it's back down in the gutter again, we're going to have to, it's going to take us about 50 years. So I agree with everything the board have done officially in regards to this so far. I understand Eddie fighting for his boy. I understand it. I would do the same. But at the end of the day, he failed the drug test. And so it's down to Conor to fight his corner. And Eddie will stand by his boy and say, you know what, son, I've done everything I can for you. I don't want that to be the end of Conor Benn, because I think he's one of the most talented fighters, getting better and better with each fight. And this is why it's so gutting. This is why it hurts, because you know the knock-on effect it will have on his heart, on his mind, on his soul, and so therefore, let's get this sorted out. Let's get that side of it sorted out. I'm just happy the fight hasn't happened for that reason. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I was sitting down, popcorn ready and everything to enjoy this like everybody else. But I think the board have made the right decision.
If there was any feasible way this card could have taken place without the main event, do you think it should have done? Being that the undercard fighters are all ready for this. I know it's a pay-per-view event and there's a lot of money at stake, but there's a lot of people's careers also on the line there in terms of.
I understand that, but it's all right for people like you and I, because we're not the businessmen. We're not the people that put our money on the line. I don't think the numbers would add up. I think they'd lose a lot of money in ticket sales, viewing sales, and everything. And when it's a pay-per-view event, there's a lot involved. They couldn't risk it being half empty. Because you go to the average man in the street, ask him who was boxing on the card. They say, I don't know. So the average man in the street wouldn't have turned up. So I understand why they can't put the show, still let the show go on, unless you've got a really strong undercard, and you think, God, that could even make top of the bill. But if you haven't, this is where you suffer the consequences. No, I don't believe it could have gone on because of how much it laid out. I was driving through London, man. They were like, those posters were everywhere. I'm like, shit, these boys have done it, man. They're all over there. And so if you're gonna build something up that big, the last thing you're gonna do is take the main entertainment off and say, oh, they're not here, but come watch this. It takes a lot of selling. It's hard graft. It's hard. I feel for everybody involved. But at the end of the day, a drug test was failed, and it has to be dealt. And this has to be dealt with. It has to be investigated, and the boxing board have done the right thing. So I'm proud of the boxing board because it's so easy to point the finger at them when they've made some stupid decisions. But this is about fighting tomorrow, not about today, not what I'm yesterday, about tomorrow. And it's the integrity of our sport, and that's just how it is. I do feel for the boys. I really do. There'll be a lot of heartache campaign. It's all right for us not to talk about it and gas about it and assume and whatever, but I do understand the heartache everybody's going to go through.
Do you think that Chris Eubank Jr.'s stock has rose from this?
No, not really. Not at all. Why? I think it's exactly what it was in the first place. He spoke well, dignified, wasn't kicking and screaming, wasn't shouting and bawling, and he kept his cool all the way through. This ain't about Chris, it's about Conor. Everything else has stayed the same. It's about Conor, and Conor was adamant. No, I am not a cheat. I ain't done that. And I hope to God, this boy is fallen foul of something that he just didn't know about. But he's going to be fighting tooth and nail. He's going to be fighting hard to try and clear his name. So, but for Chris, why has it made a difference? As far as Chris is concerned, this was a 6% walk in the park, as far as he was concerned. So, it's tough. It's a tough thing.
This is completely hypothetical, but just something I've thought up myself over the last couple of hours. Is there a possibility that this fight moves to Abu Dhabi on the 5th of November on the card that maybe Match will have there?
You know what? It could do. It actually could do. But an investigation has to be had in regards to Conor. An explanation needs to be had in regards to Conor before you can move forward. So the show may go on, but has the issue been dealt with? Has it been addressed? Has it cleared anything up? No. So that's like me and you saying Ben Johnson fails a drug test, Wally Perrona's failed a drug test, and they say, you know what, we've all cheated, so let's just have a drug, anyway, take what you want, let's have a race. Boom. Let's take it to Abu Dhabi. You know, so what happens is these guys are still running, but you know, every one of them have cheated at some way. They've got drugs in the system. They've got to clean the act up. They've got to say, right, look, I'm in, I'm back. You know, this is why it happened. Blah 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 blah. And then back into the mix again. Conor want that. Conor want that, and I think it's as important as this fight to Conor as well. But it's just hard. It's just tough.
How does boxing combat this problem? Because I was speaking to Frampton yesterday, and basically he was saying to me that if you ban someone for 6 months, it makes no difference. You come back into the sport, you might not have fight for those 6 months. How does boxing move forward on from this?
Yeah, I understand that, but you've got to also understand sometimes people fail a drug test without even knowing. You know, there's stuff you can pick off the shelf, and so is ignorance an excuse? No, it's not an excuse. But you know, I ain't anything. You give me, I'm in it. You know, but so I could have contaminated things. So these things happen. It's the difference. If you've got a serial offender, then you think, nah, you know what? Out you get, son. Or maybe a two-time strike, you know, or 3-time strike. I don't know, but I just think I bossed a guy, a drug cheat called Guamalo Jones. I think he failed a drug test. Excuse me if I'm wrong. 3 times. I drew with him. One of the defenses of my world title. After the second round, I got back to the corner and said to Brendan, he's on gear, Brent. I could tell every time I hit this guy, I won back on it again, like shit, he was on it. You know, this guy wasn't letting go, his pace was there. And I said, and I went back to Brendan's on gear. Brendan said, there's nothing you can do about it, get on with it. And this guy was just, and I drew with him. I knew he was on gear. I wanted to say when the fight was over, the guy's a drug cheat, he's on gear. I can prove it. Until afterwards, it came out that he failed the drug test. Consequently, it happened a time after that and a time before that, or a time after again. What I'm saying to you is, people like that, banned for life. Get out, man. You've been done once, you've been done again. Out. But mistakes can happen. You know, you can consume things that you just don't know the full ingredients of it. And so what Conor has to do now, he has to go down the trail of thought and think, right, what was it there? What was it there? How did I get my system there? And then boom, you've got nutritions, you've got this, you've got that. Someone's head's got to go. Someone's head's going to roll. Because this has affected his career, not theirs. The only name you're mentioning right now out of all of Conor's team is Conor. You're not mentioning his nutritionist. You're not mentioning anybody else that holds the pads or wipes him down. The only person whose name is being called is Conor's. And so therefore, this is where he's going to think, nope, the book's stopped. And this is why sometimes you get some fighters and say they're prima donnas and X, Y, Z, because if shit goes wrong, the only person whose name you hear is theirs. You don't hear anybody else's name. And that's what's happened to Conor now. Conor needs to investigate his team, say, right, how's it stops with you, you're out. Drop it there.
There is reports that this drug test was done, or came back, adverse a few weeks ago. So some say at the end of August. Why have we just found out about it now, a few days before the event?
I have absolutely no idea. Has this been mulling around and it's been trying to put a lid on? I have absolutely no idea. You know, and again, if it's been knowledge to, I wonder who it was knowledge to. You know, if Vada said, well, we've had this since we took it back in August, you know, whatever. We're just letting you know our findings. They could have given this finding after the fight. But again, if anything goes wrong or had gone wrong, and this was found in his system, not just Conor Benn would have been up for premeditated, you know, assault or even manslaughter. And this is what kills our game.
Obviously, just finally, before I let you go, Johnny, do you think this fight can happen again, and do you think it can happen again soon?
Yeah, man, definitely can happen again. I think to do it the legitimate way, Conor, clear your name, get over it, brush yourself down, boom, back on again. You know it can happen again. You know, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's looking forward to it. So the anticipation was ridiculous. I think the only person that didn't want it to happen was Chris Eubank Sr. So it'll happen again, as long as Conor can justify and please the ones that question the question, the investigation. You know, that's what's going to happen.
Well, Johnny, it's a pleasure as always. Thanks so much for letting me pick your brain on that. Really appreciate it, mate. We'll do it again soon.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light. Yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something. Completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.